Yeah, squabbling crows. That's what I'm going to be painting today. I hope you enjoy it. Hi, welcome to my channel. But first of all, a big shout out to Dina Telefson, a fabulous artist whom I'm subscribed to on YouTube. She is the one who has initiated a very interesting art challenge called Favorite Bird Art Challenge. So, Dina, if you're watching this, I hope you're watching this. Thank you so much for inviting me to participate in this challenge. I had so much fun painting this. I hope you like it. And I hope all of you who are watching my painting here like it too. Um, I have given Dina Tilefson's channel link in the description below. Do check her out. Not only is she a fabulous artist, but she is a fabulous instructor slash teacher as well. So, why crows, you ask, right? And I'll tell you why. But first, let's just get painting. Let's paint the Von Corvus family, my family of squabbling crows, in this tree. So I've got a 16 by 12 inch stretched canvas and I've roughly sketched out my crows. So I've mixed up some magenta, a little bit of Prussian blue, Indian red, orange and burnt umber, and also some burnt sienna. I'm going to add a little yellow also to it to get a nice dark color, which is my chromatic black, which I'm going to use to paint my crows with, and also the branches of the trees. But I'll give you a list of all the colors I've used in this painting in the description below, so do check that out. So, why did I choose crows as my favorite bird to paint? You know, we have so many beautiful birds in India. We have the gorgeous peacock, which is our national bird. We have migratory birds that come down to India from colder regions like Siberia and Russia, for example, like the Siberian crane, a whole lot of ducks, terns, storks, flamingos. They come down to India during the winter season when it gets too cold in the northern parts of the world, and they come to the warmer regions in India during the winter, and when it gets too hot for them, they migrate back to their native lands. But there are many, native birds that I see right out in my garden. Right now, the koel, the Indian cuckoo, is very vociferous. I would love to paint the koel. It looks like a crow, more or less, but it has very interesting orange wings, at least the males of the koel. Then we have parrots. Right now, it's the summer season and they're squawking all over the place. I often spot hawks soaring high up in the sky with their cree cree sound. It's a high pitched sound that they make. Then there are mynas, bulbuls, tiny little sunbirds which look like hummingbirds, but they are not related to the hummingbirds at all. The plain old pigeons, doves. We have lots of birds out here, and I would love to paint all of them, and I probably will. But one bird that's always around, that's squabbling, cawing all day long, is the crow, of course. The most unsung of birds, in my opinion. You know, we have dedicated bird watchers who visit various places in India to, watch the exotic birds we have. I don't think the crow ever features in their bird watching hobby or passion, actually. Not usually, anyway. And in fact, I too hardly notice them most of the time. I mean, they're cawing and squawking and squabbling all the time, but it is sort of a white noise that exists in the background, but which I hardly notice most of the time. But when I do notice them, I always enjoy their antics. They're such funny creatures, really. And you can't miss their intelligence. I mean, the way they look at you, they'll cock their head and they'll look at you with one eye. They'll caw at you, asking for food. I often toss out, leftover food that I have, fish or meat. They love that most of all. But they'll eat just about anything. Much like us humans, from junk food to gourmet food, the crow is up for it. They will grab whatever they can get. In nature, they eat small mammals, small squirrels or mice or nestlings of other birds, uh, seeds, fruit, nuts, insects, cawing and squabbling loudly to grab the largest morsel, competing amongst each other. Right now, I'm painting Mama Bird, who's hot flapping her way to her baby chick, which is on the right side of my painting. He has ventured out from his nest and is balancing precariously on that branch, watching the grown ups squabbling and fighting amongst each other. So, why are the grown ups fighting? Crows usually fight both within their family groups and with outside groups of crows. When it is within their family groups, it's usually not very serious. But when outside crows encroach, then the fighting gets more serious. They fight to protect their young, their mates, to protect their territorial boundaries, or, access to the food sources that they have in their territories. One thing I do know for sure, how crows are protective of their young. Once a little fledgling crow, much like the one I have painted here, fell down from a tree. It was probably learning to fly. And I went to pick it up to put it out of harm's way, from the cats and dogs that we have around here. But as soon as I went near it, a whole bunch of crows, Mama Crow, Papa Crow, Uncle and Aunt Crows, began cawing loudly, swooping down with loud flapping wings, sort of warning me to stay away. But then when I persisted and I went closer to the little crow, they tried pecking on my head, and they have very strong, sharp beaks, and I felt a couple of pecks on my head. So I ran inside, grabbed my son's bike helmet, wore it on, and managed to get to the baby crow, and I put it up on a low branch, hoping it would be okay there. Crows are highly intelligent creatures. I mean, they are known to use simple tools like twigs and small stones to use them to solve their problems. I mean, who hasn't heard the famous Aesop's fable, The Thirsty Crow, where a thirsty crow finds a pitcher which just has a little water at the bottom. So the crow throws down pebbles into it, which made the water rise up, and the clever crow quenches his thirst. So, as a genuflection to one of my favorite childhood storytellers, Aesop, I have named my painting The Squabbling Crows. But while using simple tools is impressive enough, crows display their intelligence in other very interesting ways. Apparently, crows have an uncanny memory for human faces. For example, they recognize or remember if a person is a friend or a foe. They seem to understand that every person is different, hence, they need to approach them differently. Since I feed the crows I have around me, I'm quite convinced they recognize me and actually talk to me in their crow language, either asking for food or maybe just to greet me. A hi, maybe, in crow language. In fact, apparently, crows and ravens can hold grudges against people who mistreat them. And, as a matter of fact, a flock or a group of crows is actually called a murder of crows. No, not because crows go around murdering people. This unfortunate term apparently dates back to the medieval period of England. English gentlemen of that period had a penchant for naming groups of birds and animals, depending on how they perceived them, such as a parliament of owls, or a charm of hummingbirds, or a lamentation of swans, and so on. Thus, regrettably, crows got their woeful moniker. Based on superstitious beliefs of that time, which were again based on how crows were perceived in their behavior. Their black coloring didn't help either. For example, there's a folk tale about crows gathering in a parliament to decide the fate or punishment of a member of their flock. If the verdict is found unfavorable, the flock sets upon the poor lone crow. Crows were often also found amongst the dead in battlefields as carrion birds, and that gave them a bad reputation as well, sadly. But this reputation is hardly fair, and science is showing us that not only are crows incredibly smart and social birds, capable of learning new skills depending on their environment and their needs, crows also have been known to bring gifts such as bright baubles to humans who are kind and care for them. We in India also have our ancient superstitious beliefs, but here crows are revered and are fed as a ritual custom because it is believed that our ancestors come to visit us in the form of crows. It is also believed that crows act as divine messengers. Regardless of what superstitions or appellations crows may have gotten, scientifically, a group of crows is called a flock of crows. Thankfully, and the scientific name of crows itself as a group of birds is called Corvus. Hence, I've named my family of squabbling crows here on my tree the Von Corvus family. I've given each member of the Von Corvus family individual names, such as Mr. Snappy and Mr. Crafty, the main squabbling crows, Mr. Godfeather, the elder, Mai, the mama, Lil Rasky, her kid, Miss Flippity Flappity, flying in, and Mr. Jim Jiminy, the hanger on. So the Corvus genus includes crows, ravens, and rooks, and all of them belong to the larger Corvidae family, which includes magpies, jays, and nutcrackers. The Corvus group of birds can be found practically in every territorial habitat in the world, such as tropical regions, of course, especially in our urban areas, and even in arid deserts and the Arctic tundra. These birds obviously have been successful in migrating to and adapting to various environmental conditions around the world using their highly intelligent brains, which is often compared equivalent to or even superior to human children. Scientific tests have shown that crows have a great ability not only to solve brain teasers, which often human children find difficult to solve, but crows can remember these tests as well as how they solved them, and they can repeat the same thing over and over. Since we have such an abundance of crows in India, but to my surprise, I've discovered that there are some regions in the world where there are no crows, such as Antarctica, which is understandable enough. But to my surprise, apparently there are parts of South America where crows don't exist in. Neither can they be found in New Zealand and a few Pacific and Caribbean islands. Apparently, these places have crow like birds which occupy that niche. So, crows have not migrated to these regions because they have to compete with those birds. For example, there is a bird in South America called the caracus, which, even though it's related to the falcon, behaves and feeds like the crows. Sadly, many people consider crows as a nuisance, and crows are associated with, negative concepts. But for me, crows in all their black glory are as beautiful as the resplendent peacock, and I find their familiar raucous caws as beautiful as the coo coo of our koels. I think crows are an important part of our ecosystem and deserve the place they have made for themselves in it through their high intelligence and adaptive nature. Hence, I'm giving them the honor they deserve by choosing them as my favorite bird painting. So with that, let's finish my painting of the squabbling crows of the von Corvus family. So, before bidding you goodbye, I want you to please meet the von Corvus family. The two main protagonists being Mr. Crafty on the left and Mr. Snappy on the right, who are big mad at each other for some reason. Maybe they want the same branch, or maybe they are fighting over a girlfriend, or maybe they have some past grudge which they are sorting out here. Who knows? So let's leave them fighting with each other. And this is Mai, the mama crow, who is very worried because she thinks her little baby, little Rasky, is in danger. So she's cawing and flapping her way hurriedly towards her baby. And this is little Rasky, who has ventured out of his nest to watch the grown-ups fighting very interestedly, much to his mama's annoyance. And this is Mr. Godfeather. He is the elder of the von Corvus family and quite disapproving of the fighting going on. He says, "Hey guys, let's chill. Let's watch this beautiful sunset instead of fighting with each other. Come on guys, chill." But who listens to elders these days, you know? So the squabbling continues and Mr. Godfeather continues to look disapprovingly. And this here is Miss Flippity Flappity. She is flapping her way in from a neighboring tree to see what all the commotion is about. I think she knows Mr. Snappy and Mr. Crafty are fighting over her. And which girl wants to miss two handsome guys fighting over her, right? And this is Mr. Jim Jiminy, the gymnast of the family. He has a glad eye for Miss Flippity Flappity too. But he's young and not as big and strong as Mr. Snappy and Mr. Crafty. So he's keeping a safe distance up there, although adding a few squabbling caws of his own. So that's it for today. I hope you like my von Corvus family, my painting. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't, and don't forget to leave a comment below. So bye for now. See you next time.